It go like, oh, break me for so fucking done with you, girl.
Eighth boy is now reported to be out. This is the second phase of the rescue operation, and it appears to be moving even more quickly than yesterday's effort did. The video you're looking here from the scene, an ambulance from one of the earlier rescues this morning, and then during the day, then those boys, once they are out, flown by helicopter to the nearby city of Chiang Rai. Our Briar Stewart is our reporter on the ground. She has the very latest for us now.
A lot of these reports are coming from eyewitnesses that are down at the scene, kind of at the mouth of the cave, and they're communicating with reporters, and that information is getting out there. And then we do expect there to be a press conference later tonight with the lead of the mission, and we'll get the official confirmation then. But just to give you a sense of where I am, I'm a few kilometers from the cave, and this is really where they're staging the media because they don't want us too close to the rescue operation. You can look at really the hundreds of people that are here from outlets all over the world, and it just really shows you how much interest there is in this and how gripping it is. And the second rescue got underway this morning at about 11 a.m. local time, and the fifth boy emerged from the cave. So the first boy today came out of the cave about 5 hours later, so that was quite quick. And it was a lot faster than the rescuers had originally thought. And the reason for that is because the water levels in the cave are still quite low. And that's a good thing because there were fears that there could be rain today and it could raise the levels and make things even riskier. But the rain has really held off today. We haven't seen anything at all. Tomorrow, it is supposed to be a torrential downpour. And so that's why rescuers are working so quickly today to get as many boys out as possible.
So that's interesting, Briar, because what we'd heard yesterday was they were going to remove them in groups of 4. So we had 4 yesterday. 4 so far reportedly have come out. And then you might think that they would take a pause and give those expert divers time to have a rest, to have a break, to put in more air tanks. But maybe with the rain pressing, I mean, maybe they're going to accelerate through today. Are you getting any indication?
It is possible that they'll do that. I mean, when the officials spoke earlier today, they were saying that things were going really well. Things were going faster than they had expected, and they were moving boys out faster. So we will have to see when they do the update later tonight just what their plan is. But they continually talked about the war of the water, and that's something that's coming tomorrow, and it is a real concern for them because if more water gets in the cave, what that means is that the boys are going to have to dive and be underwater for more of the exit out. One of the reasons they're going so quickly is that they're able to walk out for a big portion of that 4-kilometer route, and that's why they've been able to kind of move people out as fast as they can.
Well, encouraging so far. Let's turn our attention to the hospital. I know you're following the scenes in Chiang Rai and the developments coming out of there. The boys that have been taken to hospital so far, we're looking live at the scene there in Chiang Rai. What is the latest that you are hearing in terms of their condition, the kinds of medical treatment and testing that they are undergoing?
Well, we do know that the 4 boys who were the first to leave the cave and be transported to the hospital, they're doing quite well. They're even asking for some of their favorite food. Obviously, they're very hungry after being trapped underground for 16 days and eating kind of liquid protein gel for the last week or so. They are still, however, as we understand, still in isolation, and it must be very difficult for them because they haven't been able to really properly reunite with their families because doctors are concerned about their health. They're running them through a battery of tests, testing their urine, their blood, doing x-rays, really trying to see just how the experience has affected them. Malnutrition is a concern, dehydration, and another factor in all of this is, of course, mental health. This is a horrific ordeal that these boys have been through, and the psychological impacts of that could last much longer than the physical ones.
I'm curious, it's my first opportunity to speak to you live since you've arrived there. We have been following reports here, Briar, and showing images of what happens every time they've been able to bring out one of these boys live, and the cheers that go up when they go onto the helicopter, when they arrive at the hospital, people so excited to see them removed from the cave. I mean, as you're there with the world media, as you say, are you able to sense those momentum shifts, or maybe you can share some of the moments that you have observed so far?
I mean, people are definitely feeling more relaxed about this. There was kind of a sense of unease, particularly earlier today when there was no update about whether they were going into the cave. People were wondering, well, are the rescue going to be underway today? What's going on? Is there an issue? And now that you've seen just so many boys be able to come out today, people feel really confident in this whole process, and they feel that, you know, with the water levels low that they are, that rescuers really have this under control. For family members, it's a big sense of relief. For some of them, there were reports that they didn't even know which boys were, you know, taken out of the cave when, and so there was some confusion around who had come out. But for all the family members, they just feel really relieved, and you kind of feel it in the community too. People are very happy. There's so many volunteers, like dozens of volunteers that are here working with the rescue workers, helping the media out, and there is kind of this jovial mood because people are just so appreciative of how well things are going.
Briar Stewart, as she reported with me earlier this morning, she's on the ground near Chiang Rai. Now, I can tell you, as we take a look again at the hospital in Chiang Rai, where the boys are receiving medical treatment, that we can confirm there are 8 boys, all of whom have been rescued safely. Reports from CNN, from the BBC, from The Guardian as well. BBC specifically saying the boys are chilled but safe. And again, 8 out of 8 rescued. Now, the wording from the BBC, they will go back for the remaining 4 boys in the coach tomorrow. I'm not sure who the they is, whether it's the same rescue team or not, which has had 2 days, back-to-back successful rescue missions, needs some time to rest and recuperate. But what we do know for sure is rescue activities are suspended now for the rest of the day. It's in the evening time there, and so we will stop at 8 today, but all 8 out safely, and the 4 remaining boys and the coach, they are going to go back for tomorrow. You're watching live pictures here of the scene in Thailand, the scene outside the hospital where the boys who've been rescued from that cave are being tended to, and we understand this morning that their blood is being tested, their urine as well, their lungs being x-rayed as they try to see exactly what condition the boys are in after more than 2 weeks buried in that cave. What we're hearing from officials so far is by and large stable condition, and they are encouraged about the boys. 8 now rescued safely, and the word that we're getting from the ground is that the 4 remaining boys and the coach will be, the rescue attempt will be tomorrow. And again, the 8 not coming officially from government sources yet, because that news conference generally takes a couple of hours after the events unfold. But based on multiple reports from witnesses on the ground, 8 people are now believed to have been rescued from that cave. I want to introduce you, as we look at the scene, to someone who has been capturing moments of the rescue, and what an extraordinary assignment it is. She takes pictures for, she's a photojournalist with Getty Images. Lauren DeSica is my guest this morning, and she's going to tell us exactly where she is. Lauren, my name is Heather, and we're very happy to have you on our program this morning from Chiang Rai. Tell me a little bit about where you are exactly right now, Lauren.
So right now I am at a restaurant right next to the airstrip where the boys are landing. So the boys are landing by a helicopter, and then they're being put in ambulances and rushed to the hospital that's just down the road.
So how many ambulances, how many helicopters have you seen land then today?
Today I have seen 1 land and then 2 last night that carried in the first boys. The one today had 2 boys in it, and 2 ambulances rushed out just a few minutes ago, actually.
One of the things, I was listening to your interview with my colleagues over at The World This Weekend on CBC Radio, and it was such a compelling interview. And one of the things that you talked about there, and while we talk about the helicopter, let's refer to it again, is the first helicopter landed there, the kind of scene and how people responded. Can you share that story with us as well this morning? So you're looking at some of Lauren's images there, and I just want to apologize. We may have Lauren back. Lauren, you just froze for a moment. Okay. We're going to try to get her back. Just give me a couple of moments as we look at these pictures together. These are images from Getty photojournalist Lauren DeSica, who is my guest from Chiang Rai, but a little difficulty. It's not the easiest area of communication, but I think she's back with me now. Lauren, I'm sorry, we just lost your story there, so why don't you begin again? The scene that very first time the helicopter arrived, just describe what that was like and how people responded.
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, as soon as the lights started flashing from the helicopter, every villager, every restaurant owner came rushing over to the airstrip just to watch and cheer on the boys, held up smartphones, filming the whole thing. It was really the first moment of pure joy that I've seen since covering the rescue.
And as you saw that scene repeat today with more helicopters arriving, was that repeated? What I mean is, how did people respond to the helicopters arriving today?
It was absolutely the same. I don't think the joy has lessened at all. And actually, the airstrip is right next to a public park. So a lot of people who are here on picnics with their family, with their own young kids, rushed over. Everyone was climbing on the jungle gym, looking out, trying to catch a glimpse of the helicopter landing and the boys being rushed to safety.
Really interesting is some of the pictures from other sources that we've seen, people actually covering with these big white umbrellas the boys as they're taken into the hospital so that their identities don't become known. Have you seen that from your vantage point as well?
Yes, so we're actually kept quite far from the boys. We're kept far from the helicopters and, of course, blocked off from the hospital. I don't expect any official reports until all of the boys are out of the cave.
Okay. Someone obviously trying to talk to you, but keep talking to me if you would for a moment or two yet. I want to also show some more of your pictures and talk about the monks, because this is an aspect that we haven't addressed as much. But we have been hearing a little bit about monks who have been praying with the family members and actually going to the entrance of these caves, and you've captured these just extraordinary scenes. Tell me a little bit about this particular series of photos, Lauren.
So it's been very nice to have the monks come in and actually meet with the family members. The family members are obviously very distraught and have been staying most nights at the cave site up until recently. So it's amazing that the monks are coming in, taking them as close to the cave as they can get to a shrine there. And of course, Buddhism is very, very important here in Thailand. So the fact that the families are able to pray right outside the site is incredible.
Have you had any chance to see, we just talked about how they're sheltering the boys as they arrive. Have you had any chance to see family members at the hospital?
No, so not yet. Similarly to the boys, the family members are also being kept away from the media. Of course, they don't want to get bombarded. And I don't know if they've actually had access to the boys yet.
No, there were conflicting opinions whether they actually had been able to see them. It sounds like they haven't been able to touch them or hug their sons yet, but maybe they haven't even had a chance to see them yet. What about in terms of shifting atmosphere or shifting mood? For more than 2 weeks, the world on tenterhooks, people upset, very, very worried about these boys, and now 8 have been rescued. What can you tell us about how the mood has lightened or changed as you've been covering the story, Lauren?
So, again, it's been absolutely amazing. When I got here, tensions were very high. I don't think I saw anyone really smile for the first few days that I was here. And of course, after yesterday's rescue mission, we were led to believe that the first boy would emerge from the cave around 9 p.m. And of course, he came out much earlier, before 6 p.m. So as soon as we saw that the rescue operations were going well and faster than expected, moods just skyrocketed here.
That seems likely to continue tomorrow. Now with 8 out safely and last four boys and their coach tomorrow, fingers crossed. Lauren, you've taken some beautiful images. Thank you for sharing them with us, and thank you for telling us the stories behind them. Now you go answer that other call, okay?
I will. All right.
Thanks very much. Lauren DeSica, who is with Getty Images in one of their photojournalists documenting the extraordinary story in Thailand this morning.